Healthy Rebel Radio is sponsored by the Healthy Rebel app. 300 plus secretly healthy, delicious, mouth-watering dessert and treat recipes made with all-natural, whole food ingredients. Now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Find out more details at healthyrebel.com.
Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Dezer. I'm here with my Dami Health Healthy Rebel co-founder, Amy Lane. Good morning.
Good morning.
Today we're talking about cycles and this effect of getting stuck in a quote-unquote cycle. And there's many types of cycles. We've talked about this before with respect to emotional eating on the show in the last month or so. But I think there's much more to talk about. So I want to break it down today. I mean, there's lots of examples of what kind of cycles you can be stuck in. Lack of sleep, this emotional eating example. There's the ability to skip workouts like it's nobody's business. And then also the cycle of avoiding help and avoiding asking questions. We were talking about a bit about this yesterday, and you were saying the first step is to recognize the cycle you're in. But the main point about that is really the negatives. It's sometimes hard to see the negatives of a cycle.
I don't know. What I witness a lot now is people complaining about the problems, but not then taking the next step of plan of action to get out of it. It's almost a cycle of complaining about the cycle.
Yeah, you're right. I do see that as well.
I see it a lot. And
I don't know if it's because, I mean, I've got my own opinion. Sometimes, in certain cases, that feeling can make you feel alive, right? I mean, it's a little bit stressful. It's a little bit like you have something going on, and it's really something to talk about and all these things. And there's this resistance to change when you're dealing with a negative.
Well, I think it's the avoidance of taking accountability. Because if you stay a victim, it's not your fault. Therefore, you didn't cause the problem, or you didn't keep yourself in the problem.
Right, you're going the ego route.
So, that's the cycle. Instead of saying, okay, like someone may have done something to me, but if I am staying here and I'm not taking right action today...
That's on me.
That's my problem.
Mm-hmm. Right. This accountability idea. Okay, I think that's important. So we've got this ability, we need to recognize the negatives. And I guess, okay, to get started with this, what you want to do is start to own up.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to make it sound that, because I often talk about that I think that we talk about our problems just way too much. But, say with my type of personality, I like to talk about a problem. But then at the end of it, I like to say, and this is what I'm going to do to move forward or turn this around or rectify or whatever. I always set an action. Because then it's more like a releasing and organizing, and you're talking about it for a reason. If you're just going over and over the same problems with people, you're not doing anything beneficial. You're wasting everybody's time.
I think we're pretty good for each other in that sense, too, because we both, I think everyone needs to vent. I think that's absolutely normal and natural.
Yeah.
And it's completely normal to do so. But then at the end, there's got to be some sort of action. How can we make our lives better? What can we do?
What can we do differently?
Right.
What can we do tomorrow? What can we do right now? All those things. And how can we prevent from cycling back in? Mm-hmm. And it's really, really important.
In this example of sleep that I see so often, it's many people have only tried the sleep medications. So, someone who has difficulty falling asleep, tired every single morning, waking up throughout the course of the night, and all they've tried is what the GP prescribed for them. Mm-hmm. And it made them feel groggy, they didn't feel like themselves, they felt like a zombie the next day.
Or they could become dependent on it, but yet never feel rested.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of knock themselves out and keep going. Knock yourself out, then you wake up the next morning not feeling that rest. That rejuvenation, what sleep is really for. The reset button.
Exactly. I'm not a huge fan of sleep medications at all. And then at that time, a label is used. oh, I just don't sleep well. That's who I am. And this acceptance of the negative makes the cycle continue. And that's why, one of the reasons I'm all for integrative private medicine, because we have this ability to look deeper.
You have the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's huge.
That's the biggest part with GPs. They don't, right now with the system we're in, they don't have time.
No, oh my gosh.
To get to the root cause of things.
No, there is zero time. I mean, I tell patients all the time, I say, if you were seeing a GP right now, we would have been done at the 12-minute mark.
Right.
We would have got, if we were using natural medicines, maybe we would have got to melatonin, and I would have said, maybe this is worth a shot, without even knowing anything about the person.
Without going over sleep hygiene, which sleep hygiene, I think, is the most important thing.
It really is.
There's such simple things that we can do to just alter our environment to create a rested sleep that we're just not conscious of.
Oh, it's so true. So true.
And it's hard to have fresh eyes on your own situation sometimes. We're so in the middle of the situation often. We can't look at things with fresh perspective.
Yes, and that's what I'm talking about when you bring up this ability to recognize. And for you it's easy because you are in tune at the moment. You've done a lot of personal work. But this exact example there, it's sometimes hard for people to recognize the cycle that they're in. And, we try to jump in and break it up or highlight what areas are working and what areas are not. But sleep is a very good example of that. And sleep hygiene is the best case because they're simple changes that can optimize things. In the same realm of emotional eating, in the moment you recognize it. But it's that working memory we were talking about the other day, that ability to make decisions in the moment. It's difficult. Then you begin the emotional eating escapade, and then you feel bad. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard to break the cycle in the moment if you're dealing with stress, or if you're dealing with a really difficult time, or so on and so on. So how do we break that? Number one, we need to recognize. But yeah, I think you're right on this whole ego front, accepting our responsibility. Our
responsibility, our own personal power, and let go of our victim stories. If things are not working out, in a certain way in your life consistently, then you have to check in with you. It's your choice what you do. It's your choice what your daily habits are. It's your choice what you put in your mouth. It's your choice if you get out for exercise or not. It's your choice if you drink water. It's your choice if you set your home up for success. It's your choice if you stay in, toxic relationships. You have to own your personal power. And it's a really positive thing. It's a huge shift into freedom when you realize that you're the gatekeeper. And you stop letting the world affect you. And you stop blaming everybody.
Right. On some level, taking accountability and feeling empowered
on
because of that.
On all levels, taking accountability. It's not some levels. It's all.
That's the next stage I want to talk about. And I knew you were going to push it to this level. It's all levels of accountability. But then there's radical change. How does radical change happen?
And I don't want to make it sound like you stand on top of a mountaintop and things don't bother you. Right now I have a chronic situation in my life that I'm, to this day, still working out. And everything else in my life is aligned. But there's this one situation with this one relationship where I can't figure out how to get my footing. But I don't feel a victim of it. And I'm actively trying different actions to create a different result. And it's not easy.
And I would say that's how you break most of the cycles you've ever been in.
Yeah.
This radical change idea for you is trying different things to create a different result.
Yes.
And it's that simple. It sounds very simple, but it's because it is.
It's really simple, but the actions are challenging.
Yeah, and then they don't always work.
Especially when you're dealing with other people that try their best to rope you into dramatic or emotional or wounds. Mm-hmm. It's really, really challenging, but, that's our curriculum. This is my curriculum. As much as it hurts, or as much as it frustrates me, or as much as it sucks energy away, and as much as I can't believe that this is still chronically going on, it's my curriculum, and it's my job to figure out how to get free of it, on whatever level that is. So, I don't ever want to make it sound like we have some sort of perfect situation going on that nothing ever comes in. No, this is like maintaining a garden. It's consistent and always going to be work. Mm-hmm. But you get to a different place. Like where this situation used to, if it would flare up with this person, it used to take me down to my knees. And I would beat myself up. And I would emotionally eat. And I would binge cycle. And I would start to think that I'm I'm a bad person. And this is bad. It would affect my work. And it would affect my daily life. And it would affect all my other relationships and whatever. Now it doesn't. Now it's like, it annoys me. But I take active, it doesn't bleed over.
Right.
And I take active accountability. And I never give this person the power over me that I'm a victim of them. Mm-hmm. No matter what the circumstances.
Well, that's been important. That's that step one. That's the recognition and then the acceptance. And because you've achieved that, now you have the ability to try new things. For me, it's this cycle of skipping workouts. One thing I really had to do is I had to create something different in my life to make sure these workouts got in. I'm a busy guy. I've been busy for like 20 years. I don't know. That's just my story. I'm busy. I don't know what it is. But I had to create a situation where how am I going to fit workouts in to this new schedule I have, which is just go 24/7. And for me, it was getting up a half an hour earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, force yourself out of bed. That's what I told myself. I got my watch on from when I was 14 years old. Yeah. When I was getting up early to do the workouts.
Because it has a timer. This is what he's talking about.
It has nothing else. There's no technology.
It's like a crappy little watch with just a timer.
And a light.
The
light is key. Mm-hmm. And this watch does nothing else. There's no distractions happening with this watch. This watch gets me up 30 minutes earlier, and I get the workout.
I just want to say also that you have beautiful, nice watches that are all sitting in a watch box, and this is what you've dug out.
Yes, this is the hipster side of me being active. Mm-hmm. And do you know what's happening with this watch? It's working.
Yeah, it is working.
It's really working, and it takes effort. And this is my radical change for the moment. Like you were saying, we all have things that we go through. Yeah. For me, I skip workouts like it's nobody's business to get work done. I don't know. It's a real problem. So this is what I
but it's a problem you can validate because you have to get our work done. It's work is our survival.
I can validate any problem. Right. I can get creative with problems.
Right, but that is a very one that people don't feel like there's no negotiation on. And I wish that people could see how much work in a day you have to get done, and then you also get this workout in. Because if no one can say that they work harder than you, there's just no such thing.
No.
So if you can do it, and the other thing is too is you've been going to bed a bit earlier. I mean, that kind of fell into place because I pass out earlier now. Mm-hmm. But
Well, I think it's because I'm getting up half an hour earlier. I'm passing out earlier as well, and I'm not drinking coffee in the afternoon.
Right. So it's bled over to have more benefits then.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the benefits of working out in the morning are endless. Mm-hmm. A study came out this morning that is of 1,000 people. They were tracked for 50 years. And what they found was the fittest people live the longest. Yeah. And we all assume this, and then we hear stories about how marathoners are dying earlier, and we start worrying about this intense fitness and things. Well, you know what? The people who were the fittest over the last 50 years in this group of 1,000 men live the longest of the whole group.
But I just want to also put in brackets that being a marathoner doesn't mean you're healthy.
No, absolutely.
That doesn't mean you're the healthiest, and that doesn't mean you're the fittest.
There's a point to fitness where we've discovered this over the last 5 years, where you work out to a certain level, and there's benefit, and then anything beyond that doesn't add any extra benefit, we find.
Exactly. It's the same concept of just because you eat a vegan diet doesn't mean you're eating a healthy vegan diet. Right. Doesn't guarantee, just because you run marathons, it does not mean in any way you're healthy. I've met some people that are marathoners that are very unhealthy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Physically, mentally, and emotionally.
It's true. But the point of this was to say that aside from being a non-smoker, the next best thing was to be someone who exercised for 30 minutes a day.
And that's not necessarily a marathoner, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely. I'm saying that as well.
Sometimes I have people that come to the program and, they start to get a little excited, and instead of sticking with what is in front of them, they'll jump straight to, I want to do a half marathon.
Right.
3 weeks in, they're exhausted, they're hungry, they're hormonal, and they've got an injury.
Oh yeah, I know.
You know, people take it too far. Like, fitness is many different things, and it doesn't mean extreme anything.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
To be healthy, to be fit.
I completely agree.
And the healthiest thing, the fittest thing you can do is do the natural progression and don't jump steps.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Back on this topic of radical change here, with respects to breaking a cycle. Any other examples you can think of that are powerful? I mean, for emotional eating, we did a whole episode on that a few weeks ago. Check that one out if that's something you're dealing with at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we've done episodes on where we place our sneakers, how to break cycles of not drinking water, how to break cycles of not working out. I mean, I can't think of anything really... No,
I mean, the point is a state change of some sort.
Yeah.
Switching something in your life that's... Like, for me, it was getting up a little earlier, and a lot of people will try that as well. It's helpful. When I'll give recommendations all the time for people who can't sleep, see a naturopath. They do a great job. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, there's really easy ones. The next stage in this whole idea of breaking any type of cycle is consistency.
I mean, people on my program must think if this girl says consistency to me one more time, I'm going to snap. But, like, I'm consistent with saying consistency because there's a reason. It's the truth. If you just do something for a long period of time, you are going to get a result. And you have to surrender to consistency, and you have to participate in consistency, and you have to just let it happen.
Well, one thing you're able to do, and then, I mean, everyone on the program knows by now that, you know, you can be extremely strict with yourself, and it's not I guess strict really isn't the word, it's uber disciplined.
I love myself.
There you have it. That's where that comes from. If anyone's wondering where that discipline comes from, for me, it was, I want to be the best. I want to do extremely well. I want to contribute positively. All these things. For you, it's all of those things plus I love myself. It's
that I love myself, and I understand that sometimes it's easy for my ego to creep up and try to trick myself out of loving myself.
Right.
So if I just stay focused on loving myself and what my highest good entails, then it's very easy for me to make a choice in the moment. Like when we stood in that line and you got that ice cream the other night, like it was very easy for me to say, you know what?
Did you just out me on the show?
Yeah. And, you know, it's very easy for me to say, no, I'm not going to do this.
Right.
And like, I didn't feel bad. It didn't take away from my day. It didn't take away from my experience. Like, you know, you have to get out of the mindset that, like, eating junk food is somehow enriching your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, it's crazy and it's just a trick that commercials have tricked you into.
Well, we've got a mindset show coming up. So we'll get into that at that point.
I mean, it's just brainwashing. And it's silly.
Oh.
Because if the highlight of your life is junk food, then, like, it's a serious time to sit down and reevaluate things.
What if it's wine? What if it...
Look,
I'm just joking. No, I'm kidding.
We all like a little wine here and there. And in the junk, whatever, like once in a while. But if like the highlight and the point of your life is like consuming treats, like this isn't good.
Yeah.
There's some avoidance going on there.
The other thing about consistency, and this is the final step that of this little step-by-step process for breaking a cycle that I think is important. And it's related to consistency, and it's the ability to put on blinders.
Yes.
And you're very good at this, and you've spoken about this before.
Right, but I'm very good at it because I've been consistent in my practice of it. Like, honestly, all these things were not, like, just things that I'm just good at. It's things that I've practiced with consistency and literally become a rock star at. Mm-hmm. I'm ridiculously good at quitting. I'm ridiculously good at making a decision and then doing it.
What does putting on blinders in this break the cycle idea mean to you?
Stop for myself and for a lot of females that I've been in conversation with. You know, I used to feel really sorry for myself that I couldn't eat and drink like my best friend so-and-so that constantly has abs and can have burgers and drink, you know, frozen margaritas and whatever. So one of the main things for me is I would talk about it all the time. oh my gosh, she doesn't work out, she whatever, and she just puts on a bikini every summer and looks amazing, and she can eat this and she can do that. Well, who friggin' cares? I had to get to a place where it's like, Amy, seriously, who cares what the neighbor can do and what the neighbor can't do? It has nothing to do with you except for make you feel crappy.
Right.
So I had to be like, good for her, get to a place where I actually felt good for her, then let it go and like focus on my own stuff and what I can do and what I can't do, and then consistently participate in what's for my highest good and the results I want. But the looking around and like finding examples of how crappy my life is compared to theirs,
that's the easiest way to perpetuate your cycle, I find.
it's the easiest way to validate your victimness.
Right. I guess that's a better way of saying continuing the cycle. You're validating the
and you're the
victims.
only one doing that. You're keeping it alive. You're searching for it. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah. So the breakdown for today is recognize the cycle you're in, practice radical change, be consistent with your change, and then put the blinders on.
Yeah.
I think it sounds simple the way we've laid it out. I mean, it takes work. Like you're saying, everything that you've been through has this step 3 consistency is probably where most of the energy goes. But it's so worth it.
And if you can look at these things that like they start out as discipline, but they turn into blisscipline. Because they really do become something you enjoy. All of this is crap I didn't want to do.
Right.
I never wanted to do any of this. I wanted to be the chosen person that just came out of the womb like, Elle Macpherson and just like walked around and never had to deal with anything in life and just was paid for being beautiful. We all want the easy, simple, whatever life. But for a lot of us, that's not the curriculum we've been given. And you gotta let it go. And deal with the deck of cards you've been given. And then when you get to the place where you start enjoying your daily successes, and you're grateful for your own curriculum, and you realize how rich your own life is, then you get to that place where you're like, holy crap, I really love myself. Like, not on an ego level. Like, you deeply love yourself and want the best for yourself. Like, it's complete freedom. And one thing I keep in perspective, and I always keep in perspective in the forefront of my mind, is like, this is it. This isn't a practice run. This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is it. Today's the youngest you're ever going to be. This is the only time you're going to have this exact certain set of circumstances. So why not make it the best you possibly can? Because whoever you are deserves it. It's your job. It's your main job. It's the most important job you'll ever have, is realizing your potential, whatever that is. And you'll know because you'll feel good.
Oh, you've got me inspired.
Yes.
I'm going to get out. I'm going to get to work. This is good. This is good. I'm feeling it.
Yes.
That's Healthy Rebel Radio for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher Radio. For episodes sent straight to your inbox weekly, please subscribe to our newsletter on DamiHealth.com. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.
See you.
Healthy Rebel Radio is presented by the online health and wellness center, DamiHealth.com. Since 2009, Amy Lane has successfully coached thousands of women through her signature program, the Bikini Body Program. Join today to work exclusively with Amy to unveil your greatest yet to be from the inside out. Go to DamiHealth.com for more information.
Thank you for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. Please connect with us on our community pages on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all at the handle @DamiHealth. For weekly recipes, articles, and all our episodes straight to your inbox, join our newsletter at DamiHealth.com. You can find all the links discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow.